Okay, so like picture this. You're dreading your performance review, right? Doesn't matter if you're giving it or getting it. The whole thing is just like, ugh.
Yeah.
But what if feedback could actually be valuable, even enjoyable?
Okay.
That's what we're diving into today.
I like it.
We found this interesting article. It's called Delivering Effective Feedback, a Guide to Performance Reviews.
Interesting.
It was originally published in Korean.
Okay.
And it's got some really unique insights, especially for creating a culture of feedback.
Yeah. I think, we all know feedback is important.
Right.
But too often it ends up feeling like a chore. Or even worse, like a punishment.
Yeah.
This article really gets that. It starts by talking about how bad feedback can totally backfire.
All right.
Instead of motivating people, it just makes them defensive.
So true.
And it just shuts down communication.
Oh, absolutely. I've been there.
Yeah?
You get feedback, and it just feels like an attack.
Ugh, yeah.
Not like someone who's trying to help you. It makes you wonder, has anyone ever actually gotten better because someone just ripped into them?
I doubt it. It's totally natural to get defensive when we feel criticized.
Right.
And what's interesting is that the article talks about how power dynamics can make it even worse.
Oh, yeah.
Especially between a manager and an employee.
Makes sense.
Like if you're worried about your job,
yeah,
any feedback can feel like a threat.
Totally. So
Right.
how do we change that? How do we make feedback something people actually want?
Well, the article dives into something called nonviolent communication,
Okay.
or NVC for short.
NVC.
Okay.
I'm listening.
It's all about listening with empathy, being super clear with what you say,
Okay.
and avoiding judgment.
I like it.
So there are 4 key steps.
All right, lay it on me.
The first is observation,
Okay.
sticking to the facts. Just describing what you saw or heard without adding your opinions.
So instead of you've been slacking off,
Right.
you'd say something like, I noticed you missed the last 2 deadlines.
Exactly. Just the facts.
No drama. Makes sense. What's next?
Then you express how you feel about the situation.
Okay.
This is where I statements are really important.
Oh, yeah, I statements.
You own your emotions without blaming the other person.
Okay, so not you're making me look bad,
No.
but something like, I felt stressed when the deadline passed because I was relying on you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're taking responsibility for your own feelings.
Okay, what's the third step?
The third step is all about connecting your feelings to a need.
A need. Okay,
This helps the other person understand why this matters to you.
gotcha.
Like what's at stake.
So you might say, I need us to rely on each other to meet deadlines so we can succeed as a team.
Right. You're not just complaining,
Yeah.
you're explaining why it matters.
This is making a lot of sense. What's the last step?
The last step is you make a clear and specific request. So you say exactly what you'd like the other person to do differently.
So not just a vague, do better next time,
No.
but maybe, would you be willing to let me know if you're having trouble meeting a deadline?
Yeah.
So we can find a solution together,
Exactly. It's about working together.
not a top-down order.
Right.
I love it.
Much more respectful.
And solution-oriented. I like it. But okay, this all sounds great in theory,
Sure.
but what about in practice?
Oh, the article has a perfect example.
Hey, good.
They talk about an employee who just seems totally checked out in meetings.
I know the type.
Yeah. They're not participating always on their phone.
So using the NVC method, how would you start?
Well, you could say something like, I noticed that during yesterday's meeting, you didn't contribute any ideas. And you were looking at your phone quite a bit. I've noticed similar behavior in previous meetings as well.
Okay, so that's laying out the facts,
Right.
just the observations. What comes next?
Then you talk about your feelings. You could say, I felt concerned because I value your perspective, but I want to make sure you feel comfortable sharing your thoughts.
Yeah.
I also felt a little frustrated because it seemed like you weren't fully engaged in the discussion.
Okay, so you're acknowledging your feelings,
Right.
but you're not blaming them.
Exactly. Then you connect it to your needs.
Okay.
So you might say, it's important to me that everyone feels heard and respected during our team meetings.
Makes sense.
And I also need everyone to be fully present so we can make the best decisions as a group.
Okay, and then finally the request.
Right. You could say, in the future, I'd really appreciate it if you could make an effort to put your phone away during meetings
Yeah?
and actively participate in the discussions. I believe your input is valuable and would benefit the entire team. Would you be open to trying that?
Wow. When you compare that to just saying, hey, put your phone away and pay attention,
Right.
it's a completely different vibe.
Totally.
The NVC approach is just so much more human.
Exactly. It's not about attacking the person.
Yeah.
It's about understanding and finding a solution.
But it's not just about the words, right? The article also talked about taking a coaching approach.
Oh, you're right.
What does that mean?
Well, a coaching approach is all about creating a safe space.
Okay.
So the person getting feedback can really think it through and figure out what they want to do about it.
So instead of telling them what to do,
Yeah.
you're helping them figure it out for themselves.
Exactly. And the article actually had some great questions that managers can use.
Ooh, I love a good question. Give me some examples.
Well, instead of jumping right into solutions,
Okay.
you could ask, what are your thoughts on what I just shared? Or how does hearing this feedback make you feel?
Interesting.
You're giving them space to process,
Yeah.
to share their perspective.
Yeah, it sounds like you're really encouraging a conversation.
Right. Not just a lecture.
Exactly.
And it's okay if they don't agree with you.
Right. Feedback should go both ways.
Exactly. It's about figuring it out together.
So it's about finding the truth together.
I like that.
Okay, so you've got some good questions that managers can use.
Yeah.
What's your favorite one?
Okay, so one of my favorite questions from the article is, how can I best support you in reaching your goals?
Oh, I like that one.
Right. It shows that you're really invested.
Yeah, you're on their side.
Yeah.
And that you want to help them succeed.
Yeah,
It takes the sting out of it a little.
for sure.
Like, okay, I messed up,
Yeah.
but you're still there for me.
Yeah, it's a total shift in mindset.
From punishment to growth.
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of growth, the article made another good point.
Okay.
Feedback shouldn't just be a once-a-year thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, like if you're only talking about performance once a year,
Yeah.
something's wrong.
Right. It should be ongoing.
So how do we make that happen?
Well, it's about building a culture of feedback
Okay,
where it's just part of everyday life.
I like that. Make it normal.
Right. Woven into your interactions, team meetings, one-on-ones.
Yeah, so it's not this big scary thing.
Exactly.
It's part of the flow.
Right. And they actually highlight a company that does this really well.
Oh, yeah. Ooh,
Blinkist.
Blinkist. The book summary app.
Yeah, that's the one.
I love that app. What do they do?
Well, for one thing, feedback exchanges are mandatory in one-on-one meetings.
Oh, yeah.
They also organize feedback weeks.
Feedback weeks?
Yeah. And get this, they even have public appraisal.
Public appraisals. That sounds intense.
Oh, right.
But hey, if it works for them.
Yeah, it seems to work for them.
So they really have feedback baked into their culture.
Yeah, they're serious about it.
And the article mentioned that they actually have self-improvement in their employee handbook.
Yeah, it's a core value for them.
Wow, that's commitment.
So it's clear that they really believe in creating an environment where everyone's learning and growing.
But that's not just the manager's job.
Right. Oh, definitely not.
Individuals need to be proactive too.
Exactly. You can't just wait for someone to tell you what to improve.
Right. You have to take ownership.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do we encourage that kind of self-driven growth?
Well, one way is to really encourage self-reflection. So instead of always pointing out areas for improvement, why not let employees identify them themselves?
Oh, I love that. That gives them ownership from the start.
Right. The article had some really good questions for this.
Okay, like what?
You could ask, what areas do you think you could improve on?
Okay.
Or what challenges have you encountered in your role?
Yeah, those are good starting points. It gets them thinking without feeling attacked.
And if they come up with a bunch of different things,
Yeah, they could go on and on.
you can encourage them to just pick one to focus on.
That's a good point. Stay focused.
Right.
But it's also important to make sure these conversations aren't a surprise.
Oh, yeah, totally.
The article talked about scheduling regular feedback sessions so employees know what to expect.
Yeah, no one likes to be ambushed.
Exactly.
Feedback should be expected, not a shock.
So those regular one-on-ones are really important.
For sure.
They provide that rhythm for feedback.
That regular check-in.
Exactly.
And this ties into another concept from the article. Shifting our focus from past mistakes to future development.
Okay, I'm all about that.
Right, looking forward.
Not dwelling on the past.
Exactly. It's about realizing that everyone makes mistakes,
Oh, yeah.
but they don't define you.
You can always learn from them.
Right.
It's an opportunity, not a failure.
The article actually suggests a format for this kind of feedback.
Oh, what is it?
It's called the start, stop, continue model.
Start, stop, continue. Okay, I like it. Tell me more.
Well, you basically ask three things.
No, whatever.
What's one thing you want to start doing?
Okay.
What's one thing you want to stop doing?
Hmm.
And what's one thing you want to continue doing?
Oh, I like that.
It gets you thinking concretely.
Not just vague ideas.
Exactly. It's about action.
So as we think about building a feedback culture,
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about avoiding the negative.
No.
It's about encouraging growth.
And when people feel supported,
Yeah.
they're more likely to take risks to try new things.
Because they know it's okay to mess up.
Right. It's a safe space to experiment.
So it's a win-win.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about how to give feedback.
Yeah, the practical stuff.
But the article also talks about why.
Oh, yeah, the deeper purpose.
Right. And it says that the most important job of a leader is to enable growth in others.
And feedback is one of the best tools to do that.
For sure.
But it's so easy to misuse it.
Oh, yeah. You can definitely use it the wrong way.
To criticize or punish.
And the article actually says that when feedback is delivered badly, it can actually hurt performance.
Makes sense. People get demoralized.
Right. They lose motivation.
And it can damage the relationship.
Exactly. So it just makes future feedback even harder.
It's a vicious cycle.
But the good news is
good.
that by using the techniques we talked about, we can break that cycle.
Make it positive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it all starts with how we think about feedback.
Oh, yeah. Our mindset.
Do we see it as a threat or an opportunity?
Interesting.
If we're afraid of it or defensive, it's going to be hard.
So we have to start with ourselves.
Exactly.
Examine our own attitudes.
Make sure we see feedback as a tool for growth.
And then we can start putting these techniques into practice.
Right. Use NVC.
Be empathetic.
Make feedback a regular thing.
Not a special occasion.
Exactly. The more normal it is,
the less scary it becomes.
and it creates that safe space for everyone.
Where everyone feels comfortable sharing and working through challenges.
It's about trust and respect.
So we've talked about a lot.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground.
What are some key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, I think the biggest one is that giving effective feedback is a skill.
Like any skill.
You have to practice.
It's not about being perfect. It's about trying.
And always improve it.
It's a journey, not a destination.
I like that.
And sometimes the best feedback comes from unexpected places.
Oh, yeah. Be open to feedback from everyone.
Even if it's not what you want to hear.
Because sometimes the feedback that challenges you the most
is the feedback that helps you grow the most.
Exactly.
So be open, embrace feedback.
I'll give it thoughtfully.
And receive it with an open mind.
And the article summed it up perfectly.
Oh, how's that?
They said that feedback is a gift.
A gift. I like that.
It can help you learn and grow.
Become a better version of yourself.
But like any gift, it's up to you to decide what to do with it.
You can ignore it or you can use it.
It really is our choice.
You know, we always like to end these deep dives with a question to ponder.
I do like to leave people with something to think about.
So what is it today? What's the big question?
Well, the article ends with this question. What would it look like to create a workplace where people feel safe to experiment and to learn from their mistakes?
Wow, that is a powerful question.
Right.
It really gets to the core of what it means to have a supportive culture.
Imagine a place where people weren't afraid to try new things.
Or take risks.
Knowing that it's okay to mess up.
Think of all the creativity.
Yeah.
All the innovation that could happen.
People would be free to share their ideas to try new things.
Without worrying about being punished for every little mistake.
Exactly. Mistakes wouldn't be seen as failures.
They could be seen as opportunities to learn.
And feedback would be there to help you grow.
Not to tear you down.
It's about creating psychological safety.
Where it's okay to be vulnerable.
To admit you don't know everything.
I love that.
It builds trust. It encourages people to take risks.
And that's where the breakthroughs come from.
So as you go about your day, think about that question.
How can you create that kind of environment?
And not just at work.
Right. This applies to all parts of life.
Our families,
Yeah.
our friendships, our communities.
It's a challenge for sure.
But it's worth it.
Because when people feel safe, amazing things can happen.
I think that's a good note to end on.
It is.
Yeah.
So that wraps up our deep dive into giving effective feedback.
We talked about a lot today.
We did.
NVC.
Building a culture of feedback.
Focusing on growth, not judgment.
And maybe most importantly,
What's that?
we challenged ourselves to think about how we can apply all of this.
Not just at work, but in all our relationships. It's about being intentional
About trying,
and practicing.
giving feedback thoughtfully, and receiving it with an open mind.
Because that's how we create real change.
In ourselves and in the world around us.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep those conversations going.